Have you ever noticed how people treat you differently when you have a title and when you don't? One minute you're VIP with perks, the next minute you're just another face in the crowd. Titles are interesting. They change how people see us, but they don't change who we are. This is episode 81, More Than a Title. Welcome to Healing with Haley. I'm your coach, Haley Kirk. On this podcast, we dive into ways to heal, embrace, and truly love our lives. Here's my belief. So much of our suffering comes from what we believe. I'm here to help you understand your mind and question those thoughts to start your healing journey. Ready to get started? Let's go. Welcome, you guys. I am so excited to talk about this episode. I've really been gnawing and chewing out this idea and making it really flesh and creating a lot of examples to really illustrate this point. And I just want to do some shout outs, you guys. I'm loving what I'm noticing with my podcast and the development of it. And I love knowing where you guys are coming from. So, okay, this is so cool that my podcast is now becoming international. It feels so cool. So I have one person from the United Kingdom, possibly Sussex Inlet, New South Wales. What is up, my United K or UK person? Thank you for joining the show. I have one person from Oceania, Australia. I have one person from Singapore and two people from Brazil that listened to my latest episode, which was episode 80. I am so excited. This is so fun. I can't stop be giddy. I can't stop but be giddy. And if you guys have followed my journey with my podcast and the growth of it, I had this huge goal, right? I set this a goal to get 1,000 downloads in 30 days. And I met it. And so then I was like, why don't I just 10x it? And I did. And so I got over 10,000 downloads in 30 days or over the lifetime of the podcast. I apologize. I think it ended up being like 8,000, over 8,000-ish podcast downloads in the 30 days. So that felt really good. And it was such a roller coaster of emotions, because yes, I hit the goal. And then at the same time, I was qualifying for ads, but I wasn't getting any approvals. So I still have these approvals just waiting. And then I also have some, I think, rejected ones. But what's crazy is I got 3 cents, you guys. 3 cents for having ads. And I have to tell you, that's the best 3 cents I've ever earned. Does that sound wild? I love those 3 cents because here's what it's telling me. It's just this like mustard seed that what I want is possible. What I can accomplish is real. And it's those 3 cents to me are just magic. It's so magical. And there's, I promise you, there's no level of success that you will reach where you're not feeling imposter syndrome, where you're not feeling like you're good enough, where you're not feeling like what you want matches who you are. Like you're always going to feel that doubt, that insecurity. And you want to know how I know this? Because no matter what level I reach, I still battle those demons and those emotions and that ego voice, right? I also came across this video. One of my friends, she's like an aspiring actress and she's so talented. And she's so cute. She sends me these voice messages that are just romantic and beautiful and wise. And I just admire her voice. I'm like, God, you have like a sexy voice, like this sexy, wise an oracle. Yeah, she sounds like an oracle. And I came across this video where it was all the greats like Angelina Jolie, Zendaya, Demi Moore, a few others like I couldn't really recognize, but I've seen that. One of them I think is in Black Panther. I mean, just absolute talent on this panel. And they're talking about, I mean, Angelina Jolie said, I don't watch myself because I don't want my judgments or my ideas to interfere with that rawness that I bring on camera. And I was like, wow, like these people have systems in place to battle those demons or those voices in our head, those emotions, right? That prevent us from doing the things that we love. And it's crazy to me. Some of them were like, I can't even believe someone would want me as the main character of a movie or to like play it and want my face on TV that long. And I'm just like, it's so universal. It's so universal and so understandable and relatable. And everyone goes through it. It's like no one doesn't feel imposter syndrome, fear, insecurity, uncertainty, doubt. I mean, it's wild. So short, sweet little thing about these 3 cents that I'm really proud of myself. I'm really proud of myself. Best 3 cents I've ever made. Did the work pay for it? Not yet, right? Not yet. I put in so much work into my podcast and I love it. It's a labor of love because I know what I want, right? Like I want to be like the next Mel Robbins. I want to be like interviewing people who are amazing, like Gabor Mate, Jay Shetty, Tony Robbins. Oh my goodness, like having the opportunity to even just meet those people, but to have like a dissecting, intellectually stimulating, emotionally drawing conversation with these people that have changed people's lives. Wow. Dream life right there. So I'm going to keep hustling. I'm going to keep working and we're going to get it. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. So let's dive in, y'all. The origin story of this podcast episode was, of course, doom scrolling. And I saw this amazing interview with Maya Angelou, Dr. Maya Angelou, which we'll get to why I'm kind of saying that with sass. I love Dr. Maya Angelou so much. I think she is one of her most famous poems. Actually, I'm going to read it because I just love her so much. Just for funsies, just because I can. Phenomenal Woman by Maya Angelou. Doesn't have Dr. Maya Angelou on it. Pretty women wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model's size. But when I start to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. I say it's in the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride of my steps, the curl of my lips. I'm a woman, phenomenal woman, that's me. I walk into a room just as cool as you please, and to a man, the fellows stand or fall down on their knees. Then they swarm around me, a hive of honeybees. I say it's the fire in my eyes, the flash of my teeth, the swing in my waist, and the joy in my feet. I'm a woman, phenomenal woman. That's me. There's 2 more stanzas, but I just a little taste of the amazing artistry and poetry and she's so talented, right? I mean, she's just someone I really look up to, which is why this interview surprised me so much. She was on a show and this little girl, she couldn't have been more than like 10 or 12 years old, African-American girl stands up and with just stars in her eyes, right? She's just like, wow, I'm talking to Maya Angelou. And she's like, she had this question and the question, I can't remember, but Dr. Maya Angelou says, like, thank you for your question. And then she's like, by the way, it's Ms. Maya Angelou, or Dr. Maya Angelou. And that just made me like sink, right? I was just like, ugh, what? No, no, not a good, not a good moment. Here's why, right? I think that this little girl is totally in love with you, right? Like she has all the revere and respect and the weight, like her tone of her voice, her body language was absolute respect and love and adoration for you. But you were so fixated on something quite egoic in my perspective. We are so much more than a title, than what we've accomplished. We're all like connected as human beings. And then later on, I really appreciate that she did this. I think this is why she's such a strong role model. Is she said, you know what? I'm so sorry. Later on as they're talking, I came off very strong, and I apologize for that. And I love that she did that. I love that she was like, wait a minute, that was a little strong. And I can understand why, why she probably did that. Her whole life, she probably grew up during the civil rights movement and has experienced a lot of racial injustice and especially as a woman, right? A woman during that time period, they probably didn't have as respect as I get to experience now. So I understand where she's coming from, but I mean, it was a 12-year-old little girl, like, come on. And I don't agree with like adults and elders being better than kids. It's gross to me, honestly. I know I'm probably gonna offend people, and I don't care because I really think, especially being a mom, that like these little souls have intelligence and value, and like I'm not better. I've just been on the earth longer, right? And that doesn't even make me wiser either. I just have experience that they don't. That's it. That's the only thing I have on them is time, right? And that's valuable, but it doesn't make me better than, right? And I think what annoys me so much about titles is this like I'm better than you kind of vibe about it. And it's so egoic, right? It's so egoic because ego, the voice of ego compares, right? It creates hierarchies, it compares, it says I'm better than you, I'm higher than you, I'm more educated than you, I'm whatever. Which a little bit of that could be true, right? She has a doctorate, which is amazing. I'm proud of you for that. But how is that relevant to the question that she's asking? And I'm going to attach the video of where this came from so that you guys can, call me out on it and be like, no, you're totally wrong, Haley, which I love. I love hearing how I'm wrong. It's an opportunity for me to reach deep into my core and find my weaknesses. So interesting, right? Like this scenario it rubbed me the wrong way, but I really do appreciate her in real time apologizing and being like, yeah, that wasn't my best moment. I do appreciate that about her. So it got me like thinking about titles and like all these things. And you know what is so interesting? I think there was an example of this that I can feel so well when it comes to titles, right? There was this podcast or book I was listening to where he used to be a Speaker of the House or some kind of like political title. And he went to this conference or workshop where, right when he left his hotel, or after he left the airport, someone met him, gave him coffee, had a limo for him to take him to the hotel, and got like the VIP treatment at the hotel. After the hotel, on the way to the workshop or the conference or whatever, someone had coffee for him and just the way he liked it, and at a VIP section at the workshop or conference thing that he was going to. And then when he was no longer that Speaker of the House or, a really important political title, he went to that same workshop and did not receive that treatment. And he made a very interesting distinction. He explained how titles are the reason why people might treat you a certain way than it is that you as a person. And that made me just like, I had never heard someone like articulate that. And I was blown away because I have a personal experience with that. So I live in the DMV, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. And there's a dance venue that I was a teacher at. And because I was a teacher, right, I got VIP parking. I got a free entry. I got VIP seating. I got access to the DJ booth. I got free waters, free mints, free drinks, free food. And everyone wanted to dance with me just because I was the dance teacher, right? Everyone was like constantly trying to like talk to me or give me a lot of attention. Throughout the night, they were announcing my name. At the end of the night, I was given a security guard to walk me to my car and hold my bag. I mean, VIP treatment. But it wasn't me. It was my title. I was their dance teacher and their marketing for that week, right? It's so interesting because I've gone there before and yeah, I know the one of the owners of that venue and I get that treatment, like a portion of that treatment, but it's because I know that person and we've worked together and had conversations and connected, right? So to some degree I could receive a portion of that treatment, but not the teacher treatment, right? And this is just so interesting. Like position, titles, achievements, appearances all shift external treatment. Like none of them shift your inherent worth. And it's kind of interesting, right? Like there was this part of me that was wanting to teach again and to feel that kind of high of being important, right? And it's just interesting to remember your worth never changes. Your worth never changes. And we've talked about this quite a bit on the podcast, and especially recently, how your value never changes. And I want to dive really deep into that and kind of just like nail this point across really well. So the fact that you exist already means you're worthy. And here's why. You don't have to do anything. But there's so much about this, right? Like your heart beats and you didn't earn it. Right? You didn't have to earn your body or your existence, right? You just existed. Isn't that wild? Isn't that wild to think about? Like somehow you were created and expressed and and there's a lot of belief systems to explain how and why, right? Regardless of those aspects, right? You're here. And the fact that you're alive, breathing, it carries so much value and you don't have to prove it. Here's how. I mean, you look at like a bald eagle or a tree or a fish or a dog, right? They're not sitting there like thinking, what's my worth, right? They're just owning their existence by being. Isn't that wild to think? Oh, an eagle doesn't contemplate like its worth. It just owns it. And how do we know it owns it? Because it lives it. and vivaciously, right? It's keeping itself alive, and it's taking care of its young, and continuing the life cycle, right? And same thing with the trees and the plants, and just earth itself is just, it's this beautiful example, and especially in nature, of how everything is meant to be, because it is, because it's reality, right? Everything is supposed to be there because it's there. It's like, it's so wild to kind of piece it apart that way. And and kind of carrying on that same line, you think about a newborn baby, and no one thinks, at least I've never heard anyone think this, but no one's like, yeah, that baby isn't worthy of love and care. Like, because it hasn't done enough, right? Yeah, it definitely didn't take out the trash or work to be alive. So no, not worthy. No one thinks that, right? Like, babies are just inherently worthy of love and care, and just are expressed into existence. And it's just, oh, like, this being is so precious. And isn't it interesting, as we get older, we lose that sight, right? Like, and Carl Jung. So Carl Jung was the apprentice, or you could even say like co-worker with Sigmund Freud, and he developed the model of that inner child. That's where it kind of originated. And I'm telling you guys, the more I talk to that inner child in me, and the more that I develop that relationship, and validate my inner child, and talk to it and express it, it's so tender. But they're the same person, right? Like, that younger version, that 12-year-old version of me, that infant version of me, it's all in me. It's all there, right? And I still carry that value regardless of what I've done. Wild, right? Wild. It's so wild. And if we kind of dive into like a spiritual lens, life itself chose to express through you, through me, through us. We aren't an accident. And how do we know we're not an accident? Because we exist, right? Like, it wasn't just, it happened. It happened. And whether you frame it as God or the universe or nature or Mother God, you're here on purpose. And that purpose is enough to mean you matter and have value. So I hope I articulated this point enough. And another aspect of this I think is so cool is there has never been and never will be another version of you, right? I mean, and it's crazy. You'll find like twins and all these crazy stories from like, opposite ends of the earth, and they look alike. But even though they look alike, they're totally different and have these unique aspects about them without achievement, right? They didn't have to do anything. The way that they move, the way they think, like, I mean, just there's so much uniqueness in just you as a being without accomplishment. It's this combination of your experiences, your body, your thoughts, your spirit, or whatever's inside you, right? The one-of-a-kind existence is inherently valuable. So when I say that the fact that you exist already makes you worthy, here's the big picture. A body doesn't need a title to deserve love. I'm sorry, a baby doesn't need a title to deserve love. A tree, a river, an eagle doesn't need medals to be valuable. The sun doesn't need applause to be worthy of shining. And you don't need a role, a title, or an achievement to deserve respect, love, and belonging. So I want to iterate that point very strongly and come back to a few other stories that I want to articulate to hone in this point of titles, right? And how interesting it is how our thoughts are kind of formed around these titles. So the other example I have is Michael Phelps, right? Like total amazing. He won, I believe it was 28 gold medals or 28 medals, Olympic medals, and 23 of those were gold medals. I mean, there is no one who has accomplished that level of excellence in the Olympics. He has the highest level of gold medals. I think the next person is 17. He 10x that shit. Sorry. Amazing, amazing, amazing athlete. And when he was done accomplishing that feat, he went through a lot of depression, didn't leave his room for, I believe, months. And it's so interesting, right? Because his whole identity was surrounded by what he was doing. And then when he accomplished it, it was like loss of identity, a total identity crisis, right? And the fact of the matter is that he was equating his achievement with inherent worth. If I'm not this person who achieves medals and stuff, like, then who am I? Well, that's for you to kind of find out, right? And I am is a complete sentence. Let me repeat that again. I am is a complete sentence. And it's actually quite true. I am. One of my favorite authors, Michael Singer, in his book Untethered Soul, his answer, he kind of goes, and I've probably mentioned this a few times on the podcast because I just love this excerpt so much. So he says, like when someone asks you, like, who are you? And you say, oh, like, I'm Haley. You're not Haley. That's just the name by which people call you. I'm like, okay, well, I'm a podcaster, I'm a life coach, and I'm a mom. And again, titles, things you do, but who are you? Well, my mom is from Mexico, and my dad's from Utah, and they met on a mission, his religious mission, and then they had me, and then they moved to Utah, and then I was born there, and 32 years old, and da da da. No, those are circumstances and experiences that you had. Who are you? When we strip away all our experiences, our titles, our roles, our achievements, the things we do, the things we like, strip all that away. Who are you? His answer is, I'm awareness. I'm consciousness. And Eckhart Tolle also has this dialogue of like, okay, well, like, who is the listener of who I am? If I stripped away that voice, then who's this voice that's listening? And it's awareness and consciousness. And there's this intelligence in us that's there. And so we're just this amazing being that's just aware of everything. And we get to pick and choose whatever we want. How cool is that? How cool is that? And I love this. I love this topic because I think that there's so much drama in our heads about who we are, who we're supposed to be, and this lack of, or this shrinking to titles. And I'm not for it. I'm not for it. And I think it's so important to challenge authority all the time. And, I think that there's so many ways to respect and love people other than calling them Dr. Maya Angelou, right? Or any other person, like doctor, whatever, whoever we're talking to. And I think there's a multitudinous ways to show someone respect other than by like calling them by their title. And yeah, that example just like really hit hard to me. Um, and I think formalities and like being polite is so overrated. I really do. I think living authentically and honestly and like you are my equal and so many ways, right? Like we are human beings and we are so connected in that way. And you're not higher than me. You've accomplished different things than me, but that doesn't make you inherently more worthy than me. And I feel like this is so true and we can feel it in our bones. And not to say I disrespect Dr. Maya Angelou. I I revere her work. I've used her work in talks, and I just think she's spreading this beautiful message of love and acceptance and confidence and feminine energy. And I love her work. And I don't know her personally, but I have a lot of love for her because of the work she's done. And, if you guys were around for my other podcast episode where I talked about the doctor that I was kind of like having a romantic connection with, or like the beginnings of it. And it was interesting that I felt this shrinking of when he said he was a doctor and then he asked what I did. And then I felt this shrink. And I'm like, I'm over that. I'm so over that. No, we're not doing this anymore with the titles. We're not doing this. That's cool. You're a doctor. Amazing. I'm a freaking life coach. I'm a podcaster. And we are on the same plane as far as human worth goes, right? Like, you're not better than me. I'm not better than you. We are human beings. All right, Haley, enough. So I have another example I want to share with you guys about how this plays out in real freaking life. I had a friend who I hadn't seen in, it feels like years, where she was living in Spain, came back to good old DMV, and she wanted to go to Spa World, it's this Korean spa, and it's so amazing. You guys, if you live in the DMV, go on Groupon, go to Spa World. It's like $25. Totally worth it. And you feel so relaxed. You can be there for as long as you want. It's amazing. So I meet them there, and guys, I was dying. I had to go to the bathroom so bad. I was driving for an hour and a half. I drank a smoothie on the way down there. Horrible idea. But I was just meando, if you guys know that Spanish term. And I had just come from like a women's group meeting, and I dressed to the nines, okay? So I looked very business professional. And I walked in there, stormed in there, and just looking for a bathroom. Like I had a mission and a goal, and I was going to get there. And the front desk didn't like say anything or come after me or anything. And I was just like, I'm so sorry. I will come right back. I will pay, but I just have to use the bathroom. So I go in there, use my bathroom, and then I come back out and I'm just like, I'm so sorry. I had to use the bathroom. I'm ready. And come to find out, I was supposed to take off my shoes and I didn't know. And I just thought it was so interesting, right? Like they didn't say anything because of how I was dressed and how I appeared, right? I looked like Jackie Kennedy, y'all. Like I was very business formal looking. I had my high heels, I had my purse, I had my dress romper thing, and my hair did, and my face did. I mean, I looked very professional. And they probably thought I was someone from corporate or the owner or something, right? But it's quite wild how we treat other people based off of appearances and based off titles. And it's so egoic, right? It's just so interesting to think about and kind of think about our thoughts regarding it, right? All right, my friends, I'm going to leave you with a mantra for today's episode. Here it is. I don't want to be pleasant. I want to be honest. I don't want to be polite. I want to be real. I don't want to be nice. I want to be kind. My worth is not in my title, my role, or my medals. My worth is in my being. Oh. And this came to me as I was driving, and I was just like those formalities and that it's just it's such BS because we don't connect through those things, right? It's very much superficial and top layer, and there's just not connection and deep human bonding when we're in that politeness and all of those things, right? All those things I just talked about. Being pleasant and nice and oh, she's nice. I don't know. I don't like that compliment. Oh, she's nice. No. No, I want to be like, oh man, yeah, she'll tell you how she feels. I want to be that person that people are like, whoa, yeah, Haley, fire. She's a spitball. Like she's a fire and she's passionate and she's honest. Isn't that such a beautiful compliment? Like, no, she's like really honest. She'll tell you what she really feels. I'd prefer that over being kind or I like kind, nice, polite, pleasant. I don't like it. To me, that's half-ass living. That's half-ass living. Don't like it. Guys, I want you guys to ask yourselves, where and I shared a bunch of stories, right? Where have you found yourself where you kind of shrink, especially as a mom, right? When you're in a doctor's office, the doctor's telling you like, oh, you should be doing this and this for your child. And you're like, okay, well, I don't feel comfortable with that. Listen to that voice, guys. Like you are an intelligent being, right? There's this intelligence in you, and that that gut feeling. The more that we people please, that gut feeling, it gets quieter because we're not listening to it. We want to strengthen that muscle, that fire, that fighter, that warrior in us that's like, no, this is not okay. And even though you have all this education and you're a doctor, I'm going to listen to that mama bear in me that was birthed at the birth of my child, right? Like this ferocious mama moment, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do what's best for my kid, even though you're telling me this, or I'm going to get multiple opinions, or I'm going to do research, right? Like just because someone has a title doesn't mean they're better than you, know more than you, know what's best for your life. I just want to empower you guys, okay? I want to empower you to live the most authentic, honest, beautiful, fulfilled, dreamy lives that you can. So really take that prompt into consideration. How are you allowing your worth to be shrunk by a role or a title? And all of this stems from people pleasing, y'all. I'm telling you, so much of trauma and our reluctance to say no when we want to say yes, or vice versa, comes from people pleasing. So if you guys are interested, I have the recording of me doing the people pleaser detox that I did recently. So if you guys are interested in that, I'm going to send the link in the description, in the show notes, so you guys can get access to that. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you all my international listeners, and of course my USA people. I have so many listeners in the Baltimore, Maryland, and DC areas. So thank you guys for being here with me on this journey. Have an amazing day. All right, before you go, I need you to hear this. You don't need to keep white knuckling your way through life. You don't need to figure it out on your own. You deserve support. You deserve strategy. You deserve to feel like yourself again. And that's exactly why I'm offering you a complimentary free 30-minute coaching session. No strings, no pressure, just real conversation, real breakthroughs, and a real chance to feel lighter, clearer, and way more in control. If you've been listening and nodding your head thinking, oh, yes, that's me, then this is the moment to stop thinking and start doing. Click the link in the show notes and schedule your free session right now. Right now, not later, not when you have time, right this moment, because you're worth showing up for you. And if you have any questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram at healing_with_Haley. I am here for you, but don't overthink it. What you're going to do in this free session is we're going to unpack any negative belief systems, build momentum with clear strategies, leave you feeling lighter, calmer, more confident, more grounded. These are the emotions you're going to feel after a session with me. Don't overthink it. The life you want starts with one decision. This could be the one thing that changes everything for you this year. Let's do this.